قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our weekly program Ask Zad, coming to you live every Saturday between Maghrib and Isha Adhan, and every Sunday at 4 o'clock Mecca time here in Mecca region. We, as usual, will take 3 of your questions that came through the email, and then we will take your live questions if there are anybody interested to call in. Ahmed says, a family did an online background check on a Muslim man in the UK because he wants to marry their daughter. It was to check if he had any criminal background. It was done by a non-Muslim service by looking at the person's emails, online records, if they had any criminal record, convictions, or any known violent past. Was this kufr as assisted by non-Muslim on a Muslim? So basically there are 2 issues. Issue number 1, is this permissible to get the services of such an agency that would look in the background of an individual to check whether he is mentally sane, whether he has a criminal background or not? There is no problem in that. This is totally permissible, providing there is no spying, because it was mentioned that they search his emails, and this is totally prohibited. Searching a person's emails without his consent is spying, and this is totally prohibited regardless of the reason. So just checking his background, his social media platforms, checking his criminal records, if any, checking with the police, there's no problem in that, and this is totally permissible. The second issue is whether this is permissible because they have obtained the services of a non-Muslim over a Muslim. And there's nothing wrong in that. Didn't the Prophet ﷺ get the services of Abdullah ibn Urayqit, who was a kafir, to lead him and Abu Bakr from Mecca while migrating to Medina? He was a knowledgeable person of the routes and the ways leading to Medina. Didn't the Prophet ﷺ obtain the services of one of the companions before he embraced Islam? If I'm not mistaken, maybe Safwan ibn Umayyah, when he borrowed from him the shields and the armor to fight. So there is a difference between taking their services in ways we may need and helping the disbelievers against the Muslims because they're Muslims. Now this is taking allegiance. If there's a non-Muslim country that we help and assist to fight a Muslim group or a Muslim country, just because they're Muslims, this is sheer hypocrisy from my side, and this invalidates my Islam. Unlike if I'm helping the disbelievers against a Muslim group or a country for money, for wealth, for power, not because of the Islam, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. The second question is from Sumayya. She says, can a girl make her mahar as Hajj like asking the man to take her to Hajj or for Umrah as mahar. Mahar is dowry. And we know that when a man wants to get married to a woman, he has to obtain the proposal of her guardian, her father, in the presence of two male Muslim witnesses, and he gives his consent in front of them. Part of the condition is that he provides her with a mahar, with a dowry. So whether it's something financial, money, a piece of land, a property, or anything that can be of value. Now, when a woman demands going for Hajj, this is something of value. This is totally permissible. However, I would be more inclined to put a figure. So if we are in year 2023 or 1445 Hijrah, she should estimate, or her guardian, how much the package would be to go for Hajj, and put that number of euros or dollars or dinars or whatever in the marriage contract. Why? Because 10, 15 years down the line, they may have their differences and she may file for khul'. So the judge would say, give back your dowry. And she says, I didn't receive any. Or, I went to Hajj 5 years ago. How much was the Hajj? Here we come to a crossroad because the husband says 10,000 euros, she says 2,000 euros. So we have to quantify it and put a figure to it, and Allah knows best. Finally, Salha says, in my home, most of our curtains are like see-through, but not white, usually like a blue or natural or neutral color. So if I stand in front of it, people could most likely see a blurred image of me as a woman. Should I wear a hijab in front of these windows when moving into its view? I was told that because they don't know it's me, it's fine. But I feel uncomfortable because it is not that blurred out. This is up to your preference, Saliha. If you think that you're not recognized, they cannot see your body figure, recognize your face, your hair, then there's no problem in that. When you wear your full hijab, people see you on the streets and they see the same image those behind the curtains can see, a blurred image of a woman, not being able to recognize anything else. So I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that this is fine, insha'Allah. Do we have any questions? Do we have any callers? I do not see any list. Tahreem from Pakistan?
Yes.
Yes, what can I do for you?
So Sheikh, I had a question.
Before you start your question, the Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, whoever begins you with a question before giving salam, do not respond to them. This is an authentic hadith. Therefore, you have to give salam so that I can take your question.
Okay, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. What can I do for you?
So Sheikh, I'm from Pakistan and I've seen women pray in two different ways. So let's say I'm wearing an abaya while praying and I have a shawl. So the shawl is big enough to cover my chest. And let's say there are two sections of women. Some put their hands under the shawl and they cover them with the shawl, not in the rest of the prayer. However, others keep it outside the shawl. So which one has to be done?
The best is to keep it out of the shawl, meaning that it can be visible if there are no non-mahram men around you. Why? Because all scholars and schools of thought say that a woman must cover all of her body during prayer except for the face and the hands. So this is the norm. So a woman may not, in the comfort of her own home, decide to pray with a niqab. This is not permissible. A woman may not, in the comfort of her home or among women, decide to wear gloves. This is not permissible. So she has to uncover these, the face and the hands, if there are no non-mahram men looking at her. That is the norm. Therefore, putting it above the shawl is what should be done, and Allah knows best. Saad from India.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam rahmatullah.
I have urine incontinence for some
I cannot
hours.
hear you. Saad. You have to speak clearly to the microphone in order for me to understand your question. I can't answer your question if you're not audibly understood.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Sheikh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
I have urine incontinence for some hours. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I pray every prayer at the last time of it. Can I pray like 1 hour or 2 hour before the end time if I know that urine incontinence will last more like 3 or 4 hours more?
You asked me this question on my website, correct?
Yes, Sheikh.
And I sent you the answer, but I will repeat it just for those who do not see the answer on the email, of course. So, if a person has or suffers from urine incontinence, and he usually delays it till the end of time by 4 to 5 minutes, as you mentioned in the email, and he prays it then, the prayer is valid. However, if there is a time where the urine stops, then he can pray at that time. If you, as you've stated, that you know that all the time the urine is continuous and you suffer from urine incontinence and it will not stop, in this case, no need to delay it till the end of time. Rather, because of your condition as a ma'zur, the moment the adhan of, let's say, Asr prayer is called, you can go to the toilet, clean yourself, change your soiled clothes, make wudu. Even if urine still continues to come out, no problem. Go out and pray with the congregation in the masjid. Because you're allowed to pray from that time, you perform wudu, till the sunset. Once the sun sets, meaning the Asr time is up, then you have to do the process again of cleaning yourself, changing your clothes, performing wudu, and then you can pray till the end of time of that prayer. And I hope this answers your question. Faizan from India.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, first of all, thank you to you. I can't thank you enough because I had OCD and with the help of your videos, I am recorded, alhamdulillah, 100%.
Alhamdulillah, this is Allah's favor and blessing upon you from Allah alone.
Yes, sir. I already told you almost 8 months ago. Nevertheless, I have right now another question. Not a question, but I have a request to you.
Yes, sir.
I already told you on WhatsApp that I had some medical licensing examination in India to pray for me. And I know you would be busy and you can't reply for that. So right now I'm requesting you, my result will be declared within some days. So I want you to please pray for me specifically so that I can be selected for that exam.
First of all, Faizan Bahai, I receive thousands of WhatsApp requests and questions, and I don't have the time to reply to them. Nevertheless, I remember seeing your message, if I'm not mistaken, twice, and I did make dua, but I don't reply to. Imagine, I have millions of people following me on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. If everyone, and people have my number, if everyone sends me something, or at least Assalamu alaikum, and expects me to reply to him, I wouldn't be able to eat because I would run out of time. So I did make dua to you, and I'm once again doing dua to you again. May Allah Azza wa Jal make you achieve the highest marks in your examination, pass with more than what you have expected. And Allah knows best. Brother Sadman from Germany.
Assalamu alaikum wa Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
How are you, Sheikh?
Nafir khud, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I have a question. So basically, I wanted to ask you about the concept of zuhud, like the detachment from the world. And maybe if you could like give us an example, like if you practice it, like how do you practice it practically? No? So because
What
the
kind,
world right
what
now,
kind of concept, Akhi? I did not get you.
it's called zuhud. No? In Arabic, I think it's called zuhud, or in English, it's called detachment from the worldly affairs, right? So the Salaf Salih was
Zuhud,
practicing
okay.
zuhud.
Okay,
Exactly. And
with a D in the
how
end.
do you?
It's a D
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
end.
zuhud.
Z-I-H-U-D.
Yeah.
Zuhud.
Right,
Z-U-H-U-D.
right.
Okay. Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. So, basically speaking, a zuhud is to detach yourself from worldly matters that do not get you close to Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, wara' is different because wara' is not to do something for the fear of falling into sin. So, this is halal, haram, I don't know, might as well leave it. This is wara'. Zuhud is, this is halal, but I'm not gonna consume it because it's not gonna get me closer to Allah. It would delay my journey to Allah Azza wa Jal. So basically speaking, a person who is in the state of zuhud would most likely not be indulged in buying fancy cars, big mansions, investing a lot of money, because he feels that this derails his journey to Allah Azza wa Jal. Not that poverty is good for him, not that he doesn't enjoy these things, but he feels that it may delay his progress towards being a righteous, God-fearing individual. So this concept has to be governed by a number of factors. For example, knowing what Allah made halal and what Allah made haram. Knowing what we may think that it is good to stay away from, while in reality, this is shaitan trying to make life difficult for us. So if you look at the Prophet's way of life, alayhi salatu wassalam, he was the master of all az-zuhad. He was the best in zuhd. Allah gave him the choice between being a prophet and a king or a messenger and a servant, and he chose the latter. Jibreel came and said, if you wish, I can turn this hasba of Mecca into gold, just for you. So you'll be the richest man ever to walk the earth when you have all of this gold for you. And he declined. He could have lived like a king. He could have lived like a wealthy billionaire, but he chose to live like a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal, where food would not be cooked in his 9 homes, fire would not be lit except once every 2 months. And if he wanted otherwise, he could have had this happen to. This is zuhd. Now, each one of us know what is best for him and what is closer to Allah when he fixes his heart accordingly and synchronizes it accordingly. 6 of the 10 heaven-bound of the companions were millionaires, and some of them were billionaires, but this did not negatively impact their journey to Allah Azza wa Jal. So we have to know how to balance, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Sharif from India.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
رحم الله والديك وغفر الله لك.
ولكم أيضا.
Sheikh, my question is, there is a transport service in India similar to Uber, where you book a cab and it comes to your house, but after it has arrived, for every minute that you delay, they add like 3 rupees to the fare. So is it halal to use this or is it riba?
It is 100% halal. Their service starts from the moment they reach your home. Imagine, you're hiring me to do a particular service for you, and it's counted by minutes. And I come, and the first 10 minutes, you're saying, okay, you can wait. I'm in the shower. Okay, I'm drying my hair. I'm putting my clothes on. And you take 10, 15 minutes of my time. And you expect me not to charge you for that? This is not fair. So this is totally halal and permissible, inshallah. Ahmed from the US.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
Chef, so I use a wheelchair and it is a bit difficult for me to get on and off. Is it permissible for me to pray on my wheelchair or do I have to sit on the floor?
Okay. Those who use a wheelchair use it due to a handicap and due to the fact that they're challenged. And this is a test from Allah. If they're unable to stand, they have the option to sit on the chair. Having said that, what will you do when you want to perform sujood? While on your wheelchair, you won't be able to do that unless you go down to the ground. And then in order for you to sit, you have to go back and find someone to help you to sit back on the chair. That would not be logical. So the logical thing for those like you who cannot stand but are able to sit on the floor is that when they join the congregation or when they pray on their own, that they sit on the floor, they commence their prayer sitting on the floor. When they do ruku', they do this, Subhana Rabbi Azim, a little bit bending, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, and then they go to sujood on the ground, touching their forehead to the ground because they're able to do this. Now, if you say, I'm on a wheelchair, but I cannot perform sujood on the ground for medical reasons, for reasons beyond my control, in this case, yes, you can pray on the chair, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah, we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded us through his guidance and example that Islam is complete submission to the will of Allah. For one who submits, a mere declaration or display of belief will not be taken for success, but his or her heart and soul will certainly be put to test. Allah tested the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam severely in order that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam becomes an example for his companions to follow. Similarly, he tests the believer to see whether he lives a righteous life in accordance with the instructions and commands set by Allah, or lives according to what his desires dictate. Whether the faith he displays is firmly rooted in his heart, or is it merely on the surface. He will be tested to see whether he will continue to have faith and love of Allah when in a calamity, as he does when in comfort, whether he will continue to remember and worship him if given bounties and comforts of life, as he does when he lives a modest life. Allah will undoubtedly test him to see if his faith, trust and love of him is unconditional, or is it conditioned upon good health and a comfortable life, free from stress and anxiety. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us through his own example that for a righteous Muslim, this life is a testing ground where he will continue to be tested until he meets Allah. For him, tests will be conducted on earth while he lives, and not after he dies. He knows that as soon as death arrives and he steps into the next world, his tests are over. There, he only receives the result of his tests and enjoys the fruits of the deeds that he committed during a short span of time called life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. Brother CD from Germany.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته شيخ.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Apa kabar Sheikh?
Baik, Alhamdulillah, terima kasih.
May Allah reward you and bless you for your journey in the
Ameen.
da'wah in Indonesia.
Ameen, Jazakallah khair. I had a very nice time, Alhamdulillah, there.
Alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I heard that someone, when he came from travel and reached home, he can still combine prayers without shortening. My question is, if someone came at Dhuhr or before Dhuhr, and can he only combine Dhuhr with Asr, or can he also combine Maghrib with Isha that day?
No, he cannot combine Asr to Dhuhr if he arrived at Dhuhr time. The reason for combining is of travel. Now, if he reached home at Dhuhr time, and Asr is going to be called like an hour or so later, he should pray Dhuhr on time, 4 rak'ah, and then go to sleep or do whatever he wants. Once Asr is called, he prays Asr on time, Maghrib on time, Isha on time. The concession of combining is when he's traveling. So if he's out of his city's limits, he can combine Dhuhr and Asr, whether at Dhuhr time or delay his Dhuhr to pray it at Asr time, shortening 2 by 2, because he's out of his city limit. Once he comes back, if Asr is not called yet, he should pray Dhuhr on time and Asr on time. And I hope this answers your question. Zishan from Kashmir.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Sheikh.
Assalamualaikum wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, so my question is that my father always gives me a daily allowance whenever I go to college. So that allowance is basically 70% of that money is for travel and 30 is for buying some food. Now my travel money is always saved because my friend drops me near my house. So do I have to pay this money back to my father, that travel part of it, or I can keep it and use it for something else?
This is dependent on what you think and believe your father has given you the money for. If your father's income is very small and little, yet he manages to give you from his hard-earned money this amount or this allowance, knowing that you'll spend 70% on your travel and 30% for your food, then alhamdulillah, if you go with your friend, you should make this clear to your father and say, listen, I know you suffer and work hard for the money, 70% of the allowance, I don't need it because I go with my friend. But if your father is well off and he gives you this amount, and hypothetically saying 70% is for your travel, 30% is for your food, but in essence, he doesn't care. If you save the whole amount and use it in something else, if you use the whole amount for your food and inviting your friends, or if you use the whole amount for traveling, it doesn't matter for him. It's a gift for you. In this case, you can do with it whatever you wish, and Allah knows best. Namira from Georgia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My question is, if a woman gets the discharge at the end, at the end of menses, but she does not always get white discharge, but she also gets like a different color discharge because of some infection that she has. So but this discharge, what she got was on like a dark colored cloth. So she doesn't know whether there were any other brownish or yellowish spots because she couldn't see on the dark cloth. But usually at this time, she usually has like this yellow or brown spots accompanying it. So does she have to consider that as her purity?
Who's she trying to fool? The hadith is crystal clear. She cannot consider this to be her purity until she sees the white thread-like discharge without any colored discharge accompanying it. Or she sees dryness without any colored discharge accompanying it after inserting a tampon or the likes. Other than that, there is no sign of purity, except if she exceeds 15 days of menses plus colored discharges, Once she reaches the 15th day, she can perform ghusl and resume her prayer. Sayyid from Singapore.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, so my question for today is I had a number of my non-Muslim friends and colleagues who had difficulties in pronouncing my name. So if I were to adopt an alias where, for example, I prefer them to call me as Anthony, although the name itself is neither from a Muslim origin or an Arabic origin, but it does not contain any elements of shirk or kufar. Jazakumullah khair. Is it permissible?
Sayyid, it is not logical to change your Arabic Muslim name into Anthony, which is a Christian kafir name. Even if there is difficulty in pronouncing your name, they should learn how to pronounce your name. So don't lower the bar. Don't compromise your dignity and pride of being a Muslim and taking such a name. If you say, Wallahi Sheikh, I have difficulty in them pronouncing my name, so I go to Anthony. No, instead of going to Anthony, go to Abdullah, go to Ahmed. This is not difficult for them to pronounce. And again, Anthony for Muslims and for the Arabs would be difficult to pronounce. So why are you favoring them instead of those? So this is not logical, akhi. You have to be proud of your religion, and Allah knows best. Qasim from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is, I get the bus sometimes, and the bus driver, he's Muslim, and sometimes he just sort of lets me on for free, just being friendly. My question is it permissible for me to accept that, or do I need to insist that I pay? And because it's happened in the past as well, do I need to sort of now pay back the bus company for the times that he let me on for free?
First of all, if this driver owns the bus, there's no problem in accepting his gift. But if he's not the owner and he's just a hired hand being paid to drive the bus and collect the fee, it is not permissible for you to accept his gift. This is not his bus. So you have to insist on giving him the fare. Now, for what was in the past that you did not know the ruling, inshallah, there is no sin on you. The sin is on him or on those who allowed this. And this is a serious issue that everyone should be concerned of. When Allah appoints you in a position and you're in charge, this is an amana. And what you're entrusted with, there are so many verses of the Quran and hadith that highlights the importance of amana. And a lot of us are oblivious and sometimes deliberately negligent and ignorant about it because they think that I am the person in charge of the restaurant. I can give free meals to my friends. I'm in charge of the bus. I can give free rides. Nobody's auditing me. Allah is. And this is an amana that you should be aware. And this cascades to all sectors of life where Allah appoints you as a person of charge, in charge of a division, of a person or persons, of property, of wealth. Allah will hold you questionable for that. Allah knows best. Anas from the UK. Alaikum salam to Allah. Anas?
I was gonna ask, if we do something and we think it's a sin, but we're doubtful. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, yeah, Anas, I can hear you.
If we do a sin, but if we do a sin and think it's like we're doubtful whether it's a sin, but due to our circumstances, like should we use that ruling where its certainty is not overcome by doubt?
This is dependent on what you're thinking. If someone thinks that drinking green tea with mint in a black mug is sinful, but he's doubtful, he doesn't know, we say, no, this is too much. This is ridiculous. Everything is halal and pure by default until proven otherwise. But if there is something that you feel that is rubbing your chest from inside, and you feel, I don't like this, I have a very bad feeling, my gut feeling says that this is haram. And this is not whispering of shaitan. This is a particular incident that you're more inclined that this is sinful, that normal people would not like this, then you must refrain from it and abstain until you search and are certain. But generally speaking, if someone has this feeling that 95% of everything around him is haram and he's doubtful, should I do this? Should I ride on car and drive on the left steering wheel in normal countries because this is the left, or should I get a car in the UK where the steering wheel is on the right, this is the sunnah? This is ridiculous. So you'd have to look into each scenario and knowing that, okay, this deals with the opposite gender, I have a bad feeling about it, stay away. The default is that you should not be in touch with the opposite gender who are non-mahram to you. So there isn't anything to search for at the moment. So you stay away until you find an answer to it. Unlike normal things that using a pad or a pen or a mug or whatever, which is normal and Allah knows best. Yusuf from Sweden.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is, how would I know if Allah loves me and is pleased with me and He has accepted my du'as and so on, that He will not punish me in the hereafter? How can I be certain of this?
You can't. Simple as that. Last week I did a lecture in the province of Perlis in Malaysia. And this is one of the furthest provinces to the north of Malaysia, a very nice place to be in, to retire in, very nice people and community upon Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah Aqeedah, and they are proud of it. And I did a lecture by the name of The Balance Between Fear and Love of Allah. And it's on my YouTube channel. Watch that. The beauty of it is that we live our life balancing like a bird's wings between the fear of Allah and the hope in Allah. So these wings must be synchronized and balanced, because if one overwhelms the other or overpowers the other, the bird will fall. And they have to be balanced. So when you are certain that Allah has forgiven my sins and accepted my dua and He loves me, I always get the notion of shaitan whispering in my ears and say, tell you what, why don't you watch a movie? Listen to a song, visit the pub, go to a nightclub. This is sinful. Yeah, but you have credit. Allah loves you. Allah accepted your dua. You have credit. And this is how shaitan drags our feet to hellfire. You have to have this fear. Maybe Allah did not accept my dua. What should I do? Make more dua. Maybe Allah did not accept my salah. What should I do? Offer more voluntary prayers. Give in charity. Continue to fear that Allah did not accept. So you are positive in doing good deeds and hopeful that Allah will accept it until you die. And then after your death, you will see that you have mountains and mountains of good deeds and that Allah loves you and that Allah has accepted your dua. But while you're alive, be careful of Satan dragging your feet, telling you you have got credit. Faiz from Singapore.
Assalamualaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamualaikum wabarakatuh.
My question is, can you explain the hadith in Sahih Bukhari that says, when people came to Umar and asked him whether you can marry a Christian or a Jew, then he says, there is no difference between a Christian and a pagan or something like that?
I don't know the hadith, first of all, and you may be referring to Ibn Umar, not Umar, who used to think that the Christians are not monotheistic, they're polytheists, they're idol worshippers. And this is an offshoot opinion from all the scholars of the companions and the tabi'een and the Muslims as a whole. And this does not discredit Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, as he's one of the most learned and great scholars of the companions, as we know. But no one is perfect. And this is why Allah tells us in the Quran, فَإِن تَنَزَعْتُمْ, if you were to dispute over an issue, then refer it back to Allah and to the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, meaning to the Quran, to the Sunnah. There are so many scholars around us. Each one has his own opinion. We respect them all, but we do not blindly follow any of them without cross-referencing whatever he says with the Quran and the Sunnah. One scholar says you have to recite the Fatiha every gathering. Why? Did the Prophet do it? No. Companions? No. Tabi'een? No. Tabi'een? No. So where did you get this? No, this is bid'ah hasana. I think this is good. When you think, you are inventing Sharia. And this is an innovation. Allah Azza wa Jal has given Al-Fatiha and the last two verses of Surah Al-Baqarah to the Prophet, and an angel came with it and gave it to the Prophet ﷺ from underneath the throne, Al-Arsh. Says, okay, what does this mean? Says, mean it's a great surah. I know it's the greatest surah in the Quran. What does that entail? He said, then this we can read it in every gathering. We say, this is a bid'ah. This is an innovation. Why don't you read the last two verses of Surah Al-Baqarah? Because they came together as well. He said, I never thought of that. Because you don't think. You blind follow those predecessors of yours. Follow Quran and Sunnah. Likewise, we honor Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, but we follow the Quran and the Sunnah, and Allah Azza wa Jal made marrying the people of the book, Christians and Jews, permissible for us. So no one can come and say, no, it's not permissible, because Allah mentioned this in the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ in the authentic hadith, and Allah knows best. Sadiqa from Bangladesh.
Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Some months ago, I got a counseling session from you, and you suggest me to divorce my husband. But my father, after 1 month, my father said not to divorce him, give him a last chance. So I started living with him. He started providing for me. But the problem is, in a little small thing, I started fighting with him. Last week, I also got pregnant on that time. So last week, I fight with my husband and said him that I want to go, but I cannot leave because of this child. And he said after giving birth, you can, if you want, you can go. But I know his intention, because before saying that, he said that I get married to you. Whether you are good or bad, there are no option. I'm not gonna leave you. So I said I don't wanna leave. Then after
What's the question,
some time,
Sadiqa? What is your question?
My question is, Sheikh, I'm having lots of whispers that I already divorced. And
No, this is not to you. Issues of divorce are not taken from women, because through my experience in counseling sessions, I sit with a lot of women, and they say things, and they say, my husband did this, I know his intention, and he intended this. This doesn't have any weight in a court of law. according to Sharia, because what counts is the husband's words himself. So you bring your husband, let him talk to me, let him tell me what he said in your presence, and then he tells me about his intention in your presence, and then we can give you the verdict. But to listen to you and give you a verdict, this is definitely not feasible or acceptable. Hassan from Pakistan. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I was asking about like we go to Jummah prayer, okay?
I don't hear you, yeah, Hassan. Hassan, speak to the microphone clearly, please.
We are supposed to go to Masjid, right? In Jummah early, no?
Yes.
And to pray Nawafil. What if we go during the forbidden time, like the sun, when the sun is on the head, early afternoon? Do we have to pray the Nawafil at the time or no?
Okay. First of all, the hadith that prohibits praying at specific times, such as after Asr till the sunset, after Fajr till the sunrise, and when the sun is exactly on the meridian, 5 to 7 minutes before the adhan of Dhuhr, these times of restriction are for voluntary prayers that have no reason. Prayers that have a cause and a legitimate reason, such as making up prayers, missed prayers, such as Tahiyyatul Masjid, when you enter a masjid and you want to sit, you cannot sit until you pray 2 rak'ahs, such as Al-Janaza prayer, funeral prayers, such as any istikhara. For example, I have something of urgency and I must pray istikhara now. You can do this because it has a legitimate reason, and this is exempted from prohibition at these times. For Friday, it's an exception because in Friday, a Muslim is recommended to pray voluntary prayers until the Imam comes and says Assalamu alaikum, which means that he must have been praying at the prohibited time. But scholars said that Friday is an exception from the prohibition of praying when the sun is at the meridian because of the hadith, and Allah knows best. Al-Haig from India, or Al-Hajji. Al-Hajji. Assalamu
So if one has a prior knowledge that where he's going there will be haram, like free mixing and music, is he still allowed to certain prayers? And also, if I'm able to certain prayers and also pray in full, which one is better, to pray in full or certain prayer as a travel?
First of all, the scholars say that a person whose intention to travel is to commit sin, he cannot shorten and combine prayers, because this concession was made by Allah Azza wa Jal to ease your travel, which is halal. Someone is traveling to XYZ country to fornicate and to party all night long and to consume intoxicants and to deal in riba and haram. He does not have the right to shorten and combine prayers and do these things that are concessions from Allah for those who are travelers, as the scholars, the majority of scholars have concluded. As for if I am traveling in a halal travel and I have the option of shortening prayer or completing, shortening is definitely best for you, unless you attend the prayer with the congregation in a masjid and the imam is a resident who's completing. You have to, and it's a must that you complete your prayer, and Allah knows best. Mu'izz from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum barakatuh.
Yeah, Sheikh, so my question is actually, I'm asking regarding a relative of mine who recently came out of the closet. So my question is regarding this confusion I have about the ties of relationship that I should be upholding. Should I cut off ties with him, or should I not invite him to?
Okay.
Should I not invite him to family parties, or what kind of connection should I have with him?
Okay. First of all, those who come out of the closet, if you are able, put them back again, because this is the natural thing. The terminology, they came out of the closet, means that they announce their homosexuality or their inclination of being transgenders or not the gender that Allah has created them in. So a man comes and says, I just came out of the closet and I feel like a female, and I'm a female, and address me as a female. This is not permissible in any religion known to man. And this is a Western concept introduced by the Westerns, trying to shove it down the throats of normal human beings. And they have the media to back them up. They have their forces and everyone doing whatever they can to shut mouths and to restrain people who dare to speak against it. Well, we say, as Muslims, this is unacceptable as per the Quran and the Sunnah. How to deal with such people? This is a sin, like fornicating, like consuming intoxicants, like cheating, like dealing in riba. So if the person is keeping it to himself and not transgressing and influencing others and not publicizing it, he's not coming to my home wearing a drag queen, as a drag queen. No, he's a man and nobody knows about him. He doesn't speak about it publicly. I should deal with him like any other human being. And whatever is in his mind and between him and Allah, it's between him and Allah. I have nothing to do with it. But if he is trying to transgress and spread his evil and ask people to join him and invite others to come out of the closet like him or participate in such filth, in this case, he has to we have to not invite him to our gatherings, because it's an evil that is trying to spread among us. It's like cancerous cells trying to spread. So we have to keep him out of it and keep his limits, and just maybe call him every now and then and give him da'wah so that Allah may guide him, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have until we meet tomorrow at 4 o'clock p.m. Mecca region time. I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.